Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It is Thursday. Oh, my Lord, and have mercy. Just looking at... I don't know, I'll figure it out on the fly. It is Thursday, March the 30th, 2023. It's another Technical Alpha podcast. Let me just quickly pop in here. Where is that? There it is. Let's just bring this bitch. Maybe somewhere around there. Yeah. That's better. Somebody was saying on Twitter that our audio levels for the last couple of weeks have been low. And I was looking at an OBS course during the intro. We got the music playing. I know exactly how loud things are going out of the mixer, or the audio interface, and it's literally connected to a second audio interface via optical cable. And all the levels are zeroed. So and nothing has changed in months. And so I was like, well, shit, I can't imagine why the hell it would be quiet. Doesn't make a lot of sense. There's no analog signal to be turned down. It's all just fucking digital from one end to the other. I looked at the OBS levels, and sure as shit, it's coming in kind of quiet. I still can't quite figure out why that's happening. I'm in the midst of trying to find the happy place right now. So if you hear the levels just fucking bounce all over the place. So I don't know if it's like OBS.
We'll survive, Adam.
Or some shit.
Let's not drag this shit on, because nobody gives a fuck about the audio.
Let's
just run it.
Okay, Jeff, how was your goddamn week, Jeffrey Johnston?
It's
same week as last week? Good.
That's
so
it.
is mine. Video game news. More mature comic book shit is happening, this time with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I know you like the turtle power, and we got some more turtle power, this time coming in the form of The Last Ronin. It has a AAA action RPG in development as announced by Paramount. Apparently, they're targeting God of War, which is a bold move, and it's set in a future where only one of the turtles survive. I wonder which one it is. I bet you it's not the one with the fucking pole arm. The developer, to the best of my knowledge, has not been announced yet. What do you think about Turtles, Mr. Black?
Wow! I love turtles.
Woo! The video game world is about to lose a real one, Mr. Black, and this one's far more important piece of information than the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, as far as I'm concerned. Because as far as I'm concerned, Paramount's involved doing a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles game. They're telling me it's supposed to be God of War. It's gonna probably be ass. And so I'm way more concerned about this piece of news, Mr. Black. The video game world is about to lose a real one. Layers of Fear. Did you play Layers of Fear on stream? Was that one of the horror games you played?
I did play it. I did.
So there is a 1 and a 2 for Layers of Fear. I don't know which one of the two this event was in. I can't personally remember. But to the best of my knowledge, I think it was Layers of Fear 1. Regardless, they have the remake coming, which, if I'm not mistaken, maybe I am, they're combining Layers of Fear 1 and Layers of Fear 2 into a single package redone in Unreal Engine 5. I believe, because everything is getting redone in Unreal Engine 5. Pretty soon, Unreal Engine 5 is going to be redone in Unreal Engine 5. But, nevertheless, there was a moment most memed about online for Layers of Fear. And there was a certain scene in the game, I don't know, maybe you'll remember this scene, I don't know if it will spark your memory, but you're walking down a corridor in the home, of course, and which is kind of nondescript. Everything's a fucking corridor in Layers of Fear, but nevertheless, you're walking down this corridor in Layers of Fear, and it's an event triggered in the game based on your position. And so once you cross this threshold in the game arbitrarily in the game, it goes, all right, it's time to play the fucking clip. Roll the clip. What's the clip? Well, it's a ghost baby fucking running Mach 4 right out of the side of another hallway that enters yours. And it just keeps going until it runs its ass right into a fucking wall and domes itself. Everyone thought that was hilarious as shit. And what's even funnier is if you just keep kind of like chilling in that zone where it triggers that event, you can perpetually watch a child dome itself off the side of a wall over and over and over again, which admittedly is not particularly terrifying. It's kind of fucking hilarious. It's great comedy. And many videos were done to... in order to, enjoy the meme. Now, in the remake, everyone was like, well, shit, now we got Unreal Engine 5 quality of baby running into wall. This is going to be the next level shit. 4K memes in Unreal Engine 5 coming hot and ready. No! Because we're not allowed to have nice things and we're not allowed to have fun. The developer came out and said, sorry guys, but as it turns out, we decided inside here at the studio that we don't like fun, and this doesn't line up with the tone of Layers of Fear that we're going for. It's a horror game, and admittedly, it was kind of funny to watch a child run its head off a fucking wall over and over again, and so what we've decided is we're gonna have to pull the plug on that, and if you want to experience that in all of its original meme glory, you're gonna have to go back and play the fucking original. And so, boo, I say. Boo, sir, for removing such a gem from your game. Maybe you should just programmed it right the first goddamn time, not had it be repeatable over and over and over again. Just patch that shit if you didn't think it was funny the first time.
They don't want to be canceled, man. That's what they don't want.
They need to leave that shit in there, bro. Like, half the reason anyone even talks about Layers of Fear anymore is because the baby ran into a fucking wall. Ain't nobody playing Layers of Fear going, oh, it's scary. Maybe there are some. I shouldn't say that. Some people are bitches out there playing games, friggin' shitting themselves dry. And it's like the most friggin', like, plain bullshit. It's not even fucking telling. It's the same fucking like horror cues for the last 20 years in video games, and people are still out here fucking losing their mind. It's just shit, just friggin' insane to me. But nevertheless, there you go. Pour one out for the baby, because the baby's not making a return. So rip to the child. I'm not sure who is still going to be showing up at E3 at this point, Mr. Black. The list wasn't long to begin with, to be fair. It wasn't, the burgeoning list of the past, a who's who of the industry, if you will. Now it's a who's not. Because another company is pulling out of E3.
Oh, they gone.
Nobody wants a baby with this bitch. E3 is gonzo as far as I'm concerned at this point. Not even Ubisoft wants to put their hands on this thing. Ubisoft came out this week and said, you know what? Nah. We're going to do our own event, blackjack and hookers, just like Microsoft and just like Sony and just like Nintendo and just like fucking everyone else for years now. We're going to do our own, and it's going to conveniently happen during E3. It's also going to conveniently happen in Los Angeles, across the street, in a different building.
All right.
Because fuck you, that's why. And so, I don't know why I guess they just don't want to, I don't know if they don't want to be associated with E3 or they don't want to have to, like, put up with whatever constraints. I don't even know what the constraints would be, or maybe the E3 is trying to charge too much money for them to come in and be a part of the deal. I know that was a thing for a while for, smaller developers, E3, everyone was trying to get into E3, and some of the smaller developers were like, God damn, I was like, I know it's E3, but they asked me to remortgage my home. I'm a small developer, I don't have a home. I'm still living in my mom's basement. What the fuck are you asking me for? I don't have this money. And so E3 was kind of already hurting in that regard. A lot of money being asked for up front, and so maybe that's a little bit of it. But at this point, we talked about it before, I don't know who still puts it out there like, hey guys, maybe this is our year. This is E3 2023. It's even got a 3 in it. Surely this is the moment that we can come back and take the world by storm and reclaim what Jeff Keighley has so righteously taken away from us in the last few years. He had that one indie dev that made those two kind of comfortable, nice, cozy games that said the fuck word on live video, and ever since then, we've never been able to get all these people back. We gotta prove that we can also bring people in to curse on live cameras and display this around the world. We can do it too, because we're E3. But we're gonna charge everyone a bunch of money so they don't want to be involved. And now here they are. And so Ubisoft, on the 12th of June, is going to be doing their own thing. away from everyone else. I think this might also be part of the problem, is that when you were, if you were at E3 and you were slotted in, if you'll remember this, there were days where you'd have like 4 or 5 events in one day. You'd have, and sometimes you'd have 2 of the big events in the same day. If you go back far enough, sometimes I believe you'd even have like a Sony and a Microsoft in a single afternoon. It was just bam, bam, one after the other. And I think some of them now, they don't want to have to do that. They don't want to be the one that goes first. They don't want to be the one that goes last. They want to be the one that has their own day across the street in the same fucking building or whatever the fuck, and their own blackjack and hookers, so that everyone can just focus on FIFA or whatever Microsoft's making right now. Nobody fucking knows, because every time we think there's a game, it disappears. And so I think that's probably part of it as well, is they just want space to breathe. They don't want to be like another thing in a list of like a 13-hour-long day where all the games journalists are living off of fucking cocaine and dreams, trying to survive the entire afternoon of feverishly fucking typing out everything. Although this year might be different. They might record it and have an AI just fucking type the whole goddamn thing up for them while they're sitting there. It's possible. They could do it now. But yeah, we'll see just what E3 is left, or what skeleton is left. I'm morbidly curious. I'm wondering how many people are still going to like have a thing at E3, and what kind of a show they're still going to be able to put on by the time E3 actually arrives. But as it stands right now, between Jeff Keighley's event and then all of these companies just being like, nah, I'm good.
Ain't looking good.
They should probably just call it like, I don't know if it's E3 anymore. They should probably just go with like 2 E's. Just knock an E off of that. It's
just 3.
It's E2.
Well,
just E.
It's 3. It signifies how many developers are going to be at their conference.
3. It's no longer the Electronics Entertainment Expo. It's just 3. They might not even be electronic. They might just have like anyone they get their hands on now. Lizzo, show up, do a fucking set real quick and bounce. Get the fuck out. All right, where am I here? I know it's always what I hope for, Mr. Black. I don't know about you, but I always thought that this was the way that I would like Final Fantasy VII's 25th anniversary. I had such hopes that this would be what would happen, and here we are. It's going to happen. So excited. I can't wait to spend all my money. I can't wait to fill my home full of important things that actually mean something for a game that defined an entire generation or two on its 25th anniversary. And so thank God Square Enix is on the same page, and for Final Fantasy VII's 25th anniversary, I am so thrilled to announce that Square Enix is celebrating the big year by releasing collectible trading cards and NFTs. Woo! Let's go! Can't wait to get my NFTs on my Polygon fucking wallet. Can't wait for my Tifa. My Tifa has double D's. So what does yours have? You just got the C cups?
You got the C's, man. You got the C cup. You got to step it up and get them triangular D's going. Those cone-shaped D's.
The Lara Croft special. Bro, that ain't it. That ain't it. It's 25th anniversary of arguably only second to the original Final Fantasy, which saved the company to begin with, Square.
Yep.
Second only to that is would be Final Fantasy VII. And you do it dirty with some trading cards and NFTs, which are ironically.
What else are they going to do at this point? They've already remade the game, remade it again.
They're remaking it. Let's not jump the shark here. They haven't finished it yet. They're only on part 2, and it ain't even out until the end of the year.
That's right.
They're not done.
Well, you know what I mean.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
They've already milked this fucking thing. There ain't nothing left to it. All right. The only way they can go now is NFTs. I will not be following them on this venture.
There's got to be something else other than NFTs. I mean, you put out like a statue, You could put out like the physical trading cards. Like, okay, I guess, right? You could do a collector's edition re-release of the original just for fun, like a limited
Here's
run.
The thing. You know what else they could do? Nothing. They could just put out, thank you for 25 years of support. We're so excited to release the next chapter of Final Fantasy VII that we're milking for the next decade. Thank you so much. We love you guys. That's it.
Yeah, sure.
I mean, they could have done that.
And that would still be better than NFTs.
Yes.
That's still a better option by miles.
Yes.
By miles. You know, Square Enix. I'm still weirded out by the fact that they are going to release Final Fantasy 16 in the same year, within like 3 months.
Yes.
Of Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 2, whatever the fuck they're calling it, Electric Boogaloo. I'm so confused. I don't know how, like...
Yep. Now I know. Why? But...
Because how long of a time span is going to be between these two games and, let's say, Final Fantasy 17 or
years.
Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 3?
Years.
Just it could have been like 9 months, 6, same calendar year within a quarter. Seems like maybe a bit of a bad idea. Just throwing that out there. Where am I now? Oh, more PlayStation news. Well, PlayStation, Mr. Black, despite all of their whining, they just can't stop crushing it. We're about to see them have the biggest single March in console sale history. Not even just for Sony, but for any console ever. All time.
Well,
biggest month.
The reason is because they finally decided to flood the market with PS5s. I think maybe 2 weeks ago, I made the joke that I couldn't go and find a PlayStation 5. I went to fucking 15 different places or whatever. Dude, I've been seeing posts from many places locally that finally got PlayStation 5s, like God of War packages or whatever. So it seems as though they must have had just a massive push for consoles, and the ones that couldn't get them are all running out to finally buy them. It's just probably why they had such a good month.
I mean, that's still impressive, one way or the other, regardless of the mechanisms. To best a PS2 or even a PS4, because PS4 was fucking huge, or any of the Nintendo consoles in a single month is pretty insane, especially when you consider how expensive a PS5 is. So, good work, Sony. You're going to be okay. It's okay now.
You'll be all right.
You can breathe.
You'll survive.
You'll survive. You'll survive. You'll survive. I'll jump down the list just to like append that a bit here. Let's see here. Where was it? Where the fuck? Following the UK's regulatory body admitting that they believed Microsoft's acquisition of Activision Blizzard wouldn't negatively affect the market, it just took them a while to get there and admit that. They were saying the opposite forever. And then they were like, finally, they were like, all right, fine. We saw the data. We literally can't say anything else because nothing points in that direction. Fine. It's not going to fucking change anything. Fine. Well, Japan's regulatory body, which was, of course, originally backing strongly Sony, which makes sense. Japan always backs strongly Japanese companies, which, in fairness, they probably should. They came out not long after and said, yeah, all right, fuck it. Yeah, Microsoft buying this shit ain't going to fucking do anything. It's okay. Go right ahead. And so, with that out of the way, the two major, EU and Japan, looking like we're going to have this bad boy go through. And so it might not have been on the timetable that Microsoft was originally hoping. I think they were actually targeting the end of March to have already had this wrapped up. This is pushing it out a little bit, but I suspect now having those two bodies come out and be like, yeah, okay, fine. we should probably be seeing it finalize in the not too distant future. And then we'll see how it all pans out. Sony didn't do themselves any favors if they were hoping to let's say not stir up the ire of the company that was almost inevitably going to own the property that made them a fair amount of money in Call of Duty. They definitely fucking burnt whatever toothpick-ass bridge was there. I'm not saying this shit was a strong bridge. It was held together by hopes and dreams. But boy, did they ever fucking torch that shit from orbit. Nuke it. It's gone. And so I suspect that Microsoft, if they can get away with it, whatever timeline they had in mind, 10 years, whatever the fuck, whatever, for Sony specifically, they're going to find other ways to the knife is in, to twist the knife, so to speak. I think they're going to find other ways. They're going to do what Sony did to them. Timed exclusives on content. 6 months, Xbox.
Yep.
Can only be found there, Call of Duty. Zombies mode, exclusive, Xbox, first 3-4 months at a time.
Yep.
Shit like that. It's still, Call of Duty's still on the PlayStation. But you want to get in on that fucking zombies action with your friends a little bit earlier?
Buy an Xbox.
You're going to go buy an Xbox now.
And they will. They'll go buy an Xbox. They can't afford it, but they need to play Call of Duty. They will. They just get off work. They just want to get high, eat pizza, drink Mountain Dew, and play Call of Duty and yell at people on the internet.
It's true. So that's what they're going to do.
Yep.
They're going to go right for it. Or PC, that's true. Or PC. Because Microsoft, that will be interesting. Will Microsoft use this as a way to push the Xbox console specifically? Or will they just be like, I don't care how I get the money as long as it's underneath the Microsoft store in some way, shape, or form?
Well, I mean, I think that's fair, but I don't think you're going to see timed exclusives for PC and shit like that. That's not going to happen. But if you're going to get a timed exclusive, you're going to get it on console and PC at the same time. You're not going to see.
That's what I mean. Oh no, I don't mean.
I don't
mean. Yeah. That's what I mean.
Yeah, there's no way in fuck they're gonna. Yeah, dude,
it's not going to be just PC. Yeah,
they want to sell fucking consoles. They don't need to sell PCs. The PCs are already out there. They want to sell consoles.
And you know what's
the vast majority of people play it on consoles. So,
yep. It's a great time to do this too, because the PC market, if I'm going to be honest, is complete fucking dog shit.
It's bad.
Right,
it's bad. Yeah,
it's really unfortunate because most of the parts to build a PC right now are actually priced really well for the power that they provide. So you could go out and get yourself a motherboard and your RAM and your memory, your storage and all that shit, and not spend an enormous amount of money for the performance that you're getting. Let's say you wanted to go out and match a PS5 or an Xbox Series X. It's going to be very hard to get anywhere near the price that those guys have done it for, obviously. This is a rare instance in which the consoles came out swinging fucking hard for performance per dollar. However, if you wanted to, let's say, do just a little bit better, and then you were evaluating on a performance per dollar, PC parts are in a phenomenal place, except the most integral part of the whole fucking thing, and that's the graphics card. The graphics cards are like the diamonds of the PC market right now. That shit shouldn't be as expensive as it is, but there's only 2 manufacturers, and they're hoarding all that shit and releasing that shit at such a cadence that it keeps the prices insanely high, and the performance hasn't really tracked with the price. And so typically before, you go in between the two and it's like, oh, this is a 30% performance bump. And it's like, let's say the difference between that generation and the last generation of cards at launch, $50 here, maybe $100. Okay. Now it's like 400. So you go from a card that was like $600, now it's $1,000. And the performance isn't great. But then what makes it worse though? I don't know if you've seen any of these memes pop up in your timeline in the last couple of days, but The Last of Us is ported to PC, for example, and it is broken as fuck. Insanely broken. Because right now, and in the last few years, devs and publishers have been pushing, as Mr. Black was pointing out, consoles, just like for Call of Duty, it's where the majority of their player base is on consoles. and not on PC anymore, because there's been a period of time now where people have just been so fucking unable to buy anything that they've been going out and buying consoles instead. And so what that's perpetuated is this series of releases on PC of console games, and they're console games that have been ported to PC, and they're ass for weeks to months at a time after release compared to their console counterparts. Just fucking dog shit in comparison. And so people are going out and going, oh, well, I just spent all this money on this computer, and I want to just go ahead and buy, this game and play it without any issues, but it's the PC. I got to fight with a million drivers. I got to go through all these hoops, and I'm not getting that much better performance than the consoles, because they've tuned this shit so much for a fucking console that they don't have the PC port really for PC. They're just not. You might have the muscle, like the computer's there and ready, but the game ain't ready for it. The game is the bottleneck. And so it's just not worth it. And now that we've gotten to that point, so many games come out that just aren't there, you might just as well buy a fucking console, because otherwise, like, your two upgrade paths are console or 4090. Everything, like, you're buying any other card right now, if you've got a 1080, you're still probably good. Just park it there. You got a 2060 Ti? Park it there. You got a 2080, 27? Definitely park it there. Otherwise, you literally might as well, you're like, the only upgrade path that makes any sense for the majority of people, especially if you're just trying to match console experience, is literally jumping straight to a 4090. And it will be for about 3 games that have the ability to take advantage of a GTX 4090. And that's it. And you're spending like $3,000 on that one card. So don't do it. Just buy a console for now. Maybe the PC era will come back around, but it ain't right now. I can tell you that much. It is definitely not right now. Go out and buy a console. And as Mr. Black said, you can do that now. PS5. In stores, on shelves even. Physically, you can pick them up and take them to the cash register and pay for them. Same day. Mythical, but it happens now. And now, did I skip that around? Oh, speaking of having a good month, we were just talking about Sony having a good month with the PlayStation. Resident Evil 4 Remake, which I believe Mr. Black played a little bit of this last week. Yep. Resident Evil 4 Remake has had a phenomenal first 72 hours, selling 3 million copies. That's big numbers for the first 72 hours for a game like that. Mr. Black, what were your thoughts?
It's so fucking expensive, man. That game cost me like $100. No joke. It was $100.
Was it $93 on Steam?
I think it was 95.
Yeah, Steam includes the tax now in the dollar amount, so sometimes it's like shock because you're used to seeing $79.99, and then by the time you get to tax, it's $93 or whatever. But yeah, it's which is a lot of dollars and a lot of cents, Mr. Black.
Yeah, it's insane. Yeah, it's fun. It's fun, and the good thing is for me, I've had 2 sessions with it now. I'm gonna play again tomorrow. I've just been playing like 3 hours at a time. I don't want to just because the games aren't that long. Like.
No,
it might be 10 hour. It might be a 10 to 12 hour game, depending on like how much like exploring you're really doing. If you want to get like every type of thing. And I've beaten Resident Evil 4 in the past, but the nice thing is it's been so long. The last time I played it, I was in high school, and I forget the vast majority of the stuff in the game. So it's almost like playing a new game. There are parts that I'm like, oh, okay, I remember, what's going to happen, or I just vaguely remember this area. But overall, I mean, it's one of the better Resident Evil games. Resident Evil 4 is my 3rd favorite Resident Evil of all time. So,
what's your hierarchy? 2, 3, 4?
No. My number 1 favorite is 7, then 2.
Oh,
then
right,
4.
forgot 7.
Yeah. 7 is so good. Mainly because I experienced it in VR, and it was just the first section of that game, like a big chunk of it when you're in the house, and it's very in VR. It's immersively the best thing Resident Evil's ever done. Very similar to like what that Silent Hill test thing that they had, the demo that they had. It was very similar to that. So yeah, it's good. It's a good game. I'm enjoying it. It runs really well. It runs well on PC. I'm not having any frame issues. I just max it pretty much to fucking ultra everything, and it works really, really well. And it's fun. I mean, that's pretty much all. Yeah, it deserves the 3 million copies sold, and it's a remake that like when they did Resident Evil 2, it's the same level of quality of the remake, and I'd be hard pressed to find people that are like, this is a dog shit remake, because there's just
I
no
haven't
way.
seen anyone have that take whatsoever.
There's just no way.
I think they did less alteration of this one in terms of like the level design and whatnot. Like 2 was a pretty heavy-handed mix-up of the game. It was really fucking phenomenally well done, but it definitely lived up to the title of remake. Like they did a lot more tooling to that one. 4 was more. It seemed like they did more of like a quality of life type experience, and they didn't do a lot of like complete and utter decimation of level design or things of that nature. But yeah, it's done very well, making them lots of money. I'm sure they've broken even now in the first 3 days, and so anything they sell after this is just profit.
Gravy. Yep.
Just gravy on top. Speaking of that, of Silent Hill 2, actually, as it turns out, the Bloober Team CEO's comments from last week, you remember I said that he came out and was like, hey, this shit's ready to go, bro. It's whenever Konami comes down from on high and says, release that motherfucker. As it turns out, that was a poor translation. They had to come out and correct that. They come out and correct that this week, and they said, you know what? No. Actually, that was not what I meant. When I said that, I just meant that it was technically almost done. I don't know what that means either, but what it means is he shouldn't have said what he said last week, is what I'm getting out of this. It was misconstrued, and unfortunately, for those who might have been excited about the Silent Hill 2 remake, you're going to have to be excited for a little bit while, you know, a little longer before getting your hands on it, because there is no definitive date here, and on top of that, it's not to the level of completeness that was assumed last week, and so they just had to come out and correct that shit. But he probably got a slap on the back of the hand. He's the CEO, so ain't nobody doing that much slapping, but clearly spoke a little too soon. Konami was probably like, bro, walk it back a bit.
Or it was purposely done.
I suppose, maybe. It was like a let's get everyone talk about the game for a day or two. I suppose that's possible.
Creates a bit of hype. I mean, it doesn't do any harm.
True.
So who knows?
True. Yeah, we still don't have a date for that thing. I'm actually shocked that we don't have a date for it yet. I'm going to assume October. Long shot on that one. Legend of Zelda: Tears of the Kingdom. That's a game that a lot of people are getting excited for. Tears of the Kingdom had a dev demo thing this week. Showed off a bunch of gameplay. I think it was like 10 minutes or so of gameplay. I watched bits and pieces of it and saw everyone's reaction to it. And what I got out of it is it looks like there are vehicles in the game that in some way, if not entirely, the player are crafting themselves for various purposes, to solve puzzles or whatever the fuck else, traverse certain areas, etc., whatever you can come up with for why you would build a vehicle in a Legend of Zelda game. Which my takeaway from that was, everyone shitting on Banjo-Kazooie nuts and bolts back in the day. Where are you now? Where are you now? Because now you're getting it in your Legend of Zelda. It's gonna happen. I gotta be honest, I wasn't I mean, we all know I wasn't the world's biggest Breath of the Wild fan. I thought it was a good game. For the most part, the weapon degradation is horrendous, and the way that I describe, you know, what they had dungeons, I'm gonna put in quotation marks, was more like, you know, those little puzzles where you're outside the Dollarama and you put your like dollar in and it's like a little fucking gotcha ball, and like inside would be like one of those little things with the silver balls inside, and you're fucking trying to just... That's basically what The Legend of Zelda was for me for Breath of the Wild, was that. Which was to say, not very Legend of Zelda-y in one of the largest parts of what makes the game up. Having a bunch of vehicle shit in The Legend of Zelda, fine. If it's done well, and I'm sure it will be, great. It's just not for me. And I know it's going to be getting a lot of people excited, but what makes me a little bit sad about it is that as somebody that is a fan of the more traditional Legend of Zelda titles, is that I know if this is popular, then it's going to feel like we're going to have even longer before I get, if ever, a taste of original quality Legend of Zelda dungeons. Actual dungeons with puzzles that aren't fucking gotcha balls like just real...
It's gone. It's over. That era is dead. It's gone.
Unfortunate. But yeah, that happened.
I thought Breath of the Wild was shit, personally. But I'm not a Zelda fan.
If they called it anything other than Zelda, I think it raises it a bit for me because my expectations are totally different.
Dude, I mean, to be fair, I wasn't particularly a huge fan of Ocarina of Time, although I played it really late. But I'm a massive fan of The Legend of Zelda.
Yeah.
Link to the Past.
Yeah.
You know? Like
which is the formula of, the dungeons amazing. Are there and
It's top 3 Super Nintendo game of all time.
Oh yeah.
It's amazing. So, I mean, I get it. It's a very successful game. A lot of people love Breath of the Wild. I have friends that are like, my age that are diehard, can't wait for the next game to come out. I get it. I don't try and correct them. It just wasn't for me. It felt like they were riding the wave of Dark Souls a little bit and wanted to give a little bit of a Dark Soulsy feel to the game, but it just didn't work well with the way Zelda is. I don't know. And I played it on the Switch. I played it on the handheld in the beginning.
Yeah.
And this shit just ran like ass. Like fucking
it doesn't matter what mode you're running in, it's ass. Yeah.
And I put it on the dock mode, made it a little bit better, made it playable for sure. But man, the drop frames, it just wasn't it. It wasn't it for me. But I'm not a big fan of Zelda, so
you know what? If you gave me the Breath of the Wild, but you fucked off with the weapon degradation shit, or at the bare minimum, fucked off with the weapon degradation for the godforsaken Master Sword and Hylian Shield, would be nice. If you got rid of that part, and then you replaced all the gotcha puzzle fucking dungeons with actual honest to God Legend of Zelda dungeons, immediately 1,000 times better. Anyone who tells me that they truly believe the dungeon design decisions that they made in Breath of the Wild outpaces Link to the Past, Ocarina of Time, fucking Skyward Sword, Wind Waker, literally any more traditional. I think you're out of your goddamn mind. I think you're just saying it because you like the game in general and you don't want to admit that there's a problem with it. But if you really think that holding the fucking thing around, like tilting the fucking shit around, the shitty little like, it felt like it was like a single room or 2 rooms, and it felt like I was playing like a non-Portal version of Portal, where you like walk into a room and it's like, okay, guys, we've got a new mechanic in here, and
it's like a shitty party game that you buy on the shovelware on Steam or some shit. It's like, what the fuck is this?
And weapon degradation in games for me is already not my favorite thing, but when you make it as egregious as it was in that, how fast weapons degraded drove me nuts, because it got to the point where I'd have on my map, I'd have places pinned, whether they were Lionels or other hotspots for certain weapons and certain shields, that would allow me to know where I had to go after I did like a dungeon or 2 and my weapons were all dead. And I needed to go and replenish my weapon and shield supply. And so I'd go to the pinned locations on the map and have to go through this rotation of re-upping on all of my supplies. And like, which was fun maybe one fucking time at best. Honestly, I don't even think it was fun the first time. And then after that, it was just a chore. It was just padding game time. I just wanted to have my weapons. And when I found out about the Master Sword actually having energy, and then you had to like put that bitch away and wait for a while, I just fucking checked out. I finished the game at that point. I had done like, I don't know what the percentage was. It was like well over half of all the available side dungeons and shit like that, and I was like, this is not it. And then when I found out about like the real meme, which was the 900 fucking Korok or whatever thing, and you get a golden shit statue at the end, I was like, are they just seeing if they can spit on players at this point and see if, everyone's going to be cool with that, or like what the fuck is going on here? But they love it. And so, yay. Legend of Zelda Nuts and Bolts coming soon. Let's see here. We've got, I've jumbled everything up from skipping ahead earlier. EA is laying off 6% of its workforce, Mr. Black. Lots and lots of tech companies, of course, have been laying off workers like crazy in separate waves. We've had Facebook, I think, done 2 different waves now, for example, or Meta, whatever you want to fucking call them. And so
Amazon
has all of them. Microsoft, every Google, everyone's been laying off a lot, tens of thousands of people.
Well, look at the market. So
it's exactly. It's just everyone's down bad in tech, and so it's been a little rough.
Y'all wanted to sit at home all fucking day during COVID. Y'all want to sit in your fucking houses.
That has nothing to fucking do with these layoffs.
Are you serious?
I'm dead serious.
Are you serious? You're serious. Stopping
Zero.
the economy and the fact that they've turned up interest rates astronomically has nothing to do with the debt servicing of these companies.
What you just mentioned of them turning up all that stuff and shit, and then having the economy balloon, which was already ballooned well before the pandemic, had nothing to do with a handful of people in the tech sector staying at home for 16 months during the pandemic. That is not the primary driver of 30+ thousand layoffs in like 6 months. What was the bigger driver was an entire decade of low interest that the entire Silicon Valley went absolutely hog wild with and ran shit up like crazy with free money on venture capital and got to the point where it was not sustainable anymore. And then the bubble burst because the entertainment industry and the tech industry went fucking super huge during the pandemic. And then on the other side, when it wasn't sustained and all the hiring had to come to a halt, am I saying that it had zero impact? No. Is it the primary driver? Fuck no. There was a decade worth of shit that built up to this point, and we're seeing it also with the banks that are down there in Silicon Valley collapsing for the same reasons. The interest over the decade that they had all that money put in, all of a sudden got out of control. People are trying to make a run for it. They have to sell out bonds that are worth $4 in a fucking pack of bubble gum, and now they've got no money and they're fucking collapsing. And then so you got a bunch of people that aren't even like big companies like Google or Microsoft or whatever that are like 10, 20, 30, 40, $50 million in VC sitting in banks that don't exist anymore and everyone's fucking losing their minds. Those are bigger players than Tim and Sally from marketing wanted to do their fucking work at home for 16 months during COVID. I don't necessarily think that was what was causing all of these, we're talking like 15% of workforces for trillion-dollar companies. This is not something as easy as just they worked from home with the same level of productivity as if they were in the office space. I mean, maybe they wanted to write off the offices.
We'll just agree to disagree. We'll just agree to disagree.
That's fair. But they're laid off 6%. There's about 800 employees in total, various roles across the company. And around the same time that this work layoff was happening, of course, EA owns BioWare, and so I'm not saying these things are intrinsically linked together, but they happen around the same time, and so I don't suspect it doesn't have something to do with one another. But EA lays off 6%. Then BioWare says, okay, guys, well, you know that game you haven't heard about in a little bit anyway? Dragon Age. We got another one coming, Dreadwolf. Anyone even remember that the name of the game was Dreadwolf, except for the most die-hard Dragon Age fans? Well, we haven't heard too much about it in a while. Even though up front they were being pretty open about their entire process thus far. And what they've done is they've brought over the Mass Effect team and just slapped a lot of the Mass Effect team onto this game because evidently they need help. And the game's not going as fast as they want or as well as they want, and maybe they have some more talented folks on the Mass Effect side that they're looking to bring over to the Dragon Age side, and so that's what they're doing. And so that tells you one thing. Well, if you didn't know which order these two games were coming out in, because we know that there's a Mass Effect game coming, guess which one's not coming out first? That would be Mass Effect. Dragon Age is clearly going to be the one they're trying to get out first. And so we're gonna have to wait. The problem is we don't even know when Dragon Age is coming. They've been teasing Mass Effect, and everyone's been losing their mind. Nobody talking about Dragon Age. Zero people. As soon as they announced Mass Effect and they showed that fucking JPEG, and people were like zooming in on the JPEG, posting on Twitter, trying to figure out what the characters were walking across the moon's surface, and then they were deciphering audio files and shit that they were releasing and everything. Ain't nobody doing any of that for Dragon Age. But they're bringing over a bunch of developers from the Mass Effect team to help out, try and finish off the Dragon Age Dreadwolf game. And not only that, but they somehow, probably with several dollars, paid to have, what was his name here? Mark Dara, who was previously the executive producer for BioWare on this title, if I'm not mistaken. That or Mass Effect. Can't remember if it was Mass Effect or Dragon Age. But they brought him back to help consulting on this as well. And they brought him back, and I say that, he wasn't still there, because in 2020, he blasted the fuck out of the company for their crunch time, their crunch culture, which was not producing games, which I think was the bigger problem, was the crunch was there, but no games were coming out. So they were just murdering people for years at a time with work, getting absolutely no games actually to market. So it was like, all right, guys, it's crunch time, which normally triggers like okay, we got 6 to 12 months of just absolute life-torturing bullshit, and then the game's gonna launch, right? Nope. Crunch time is actually like 4 straight years of just 18-hour days, and the game hasn't come out yet. So he said, fuck this shit, I'm out. And then they said, what if we paid you to come back? And he said, I'm in. And so he's back again. And we'll see if any of this results in a good video game. Honestly, probably not. Probably not. Maybe they pull it off. But when you start talking about pulling teams away from their other game, which is way more hyped up right now than Dragon Age, and trying to bring back people that were torching you publicly, that's a slight move of desperation as far as I can tell. And so hopefully that doesn't mean the game itself is going to be complete dog shit. It probably won't be. BioWare doesn't tend to make, well, I shouldn't say that. Mass Effect Andromeda was pretty fucking bad when that came out. So maybe it won't be great. But we're going to have to wait and find out. But Mass Effect, I could play some Mass Effect. Dragon Age, I could not possibly, if I tried, put in the effort to care about Dragon Age. I know a couple people are super diehard Dragon Age fans. And I don't even hear them talk about it. I hear them say, I'm going to start up my 58th run on Dragon Age Inquisition. But I don't hear them like, no, Dreadwolf! Like nobody, not even the fans are talking about that shit. So maybe Mass Effect was the way to go. I don't know. And that's it for game news, Mr. Black, for this week, which means it's time to sell out and tell the folks at home, just as long as that bill in the States doesn't pass and then they accidentally try to access TikTok and end themselves up in jail for 20 years or $1 million fine or both. Explain to the folks at home why they might want to join in on NordVPN.
Well, before that, you can join in on Patreon, patreon.com/legtv. You can head on over there, throw money at the screen, and we will be casting StarCraft. We're going to be casting StarCraft after this. So if you guys want to have your tech support questions answered via StarCraft, or you just want to support the fact that we're casting StarCraft, patreon.com/legtv. If you want to support sponsor, NordVPN is our currently our only sponsor, and well, for good reason, because they're awesome and they keep supporting the podcast because you guys keep getting subscriptions. So head on over there, nordvpn.com/OTT. Use the promo code OTT, get yourself a 2-year subscription and 4 bonus months for a limited time. Not only that, 30-day money-back guarantee. If you don't like it for whatever reason, get your money back within 30 days. No questions asked. Just take it, all right? Very few people have ever done that. In fact, I only know of one. I've been with these guys for 3 years. And I'm telling you, I don't think that guy actually knew how to run a VPN. The good news is with NordVPN, it's super easy. It's the click of a button. It's available on your phone. We're talking iOS. We're talking Android, your Mac, your PC, your laptop, your iPad, your smart TV. They've got an app virtually for anything and everything. It's a click of a button. You don't need to be a programmer. All you need to do is be able to click buttons on said device you're using and let the program know where you want your IP to be masked to. That's it. It's that simple. Guys, 4 bonus months, promo code OTT. It's less than a cup of coffee a day. It's like half the price of a cup of coffee a day if you're going to Starbucks. Be real. I haven't had Starbucks in a long time. But the last time I went, it cost me $7.49 for a grande cinnamon dolce latte.
Oh, God.
The answer is no.
Did I tell you about the last time I went through Starbucks?
No. Did you use NordVPN? Because the Wi-Fi there might not be safe. You might want to mask your IP. All right. You don't want people to steal your information if you're just browsing normally. So get yourself NordVPN, guys, and think of the promo code OTT while you go and do it. Link is in the description below. Head on over there and do it.
And now it's time for
movies and TV.
Yeah, the last time I went to Starbucks was last month. We were out. Em and I were out buying some stuff. Returning. There was the night we were returning a bunch of stuff to IKEA, and I did give a shout out to IKEA for their insane return policy window. It's just fucking bonkers. It's like a literal calendar year. I didn't even have a receipt. The barcode was on the boxes. They were like, yeah, that's good. Instant, like, $800 return. Phenomenal.
The dream.
And then I immediately used all $800 at Starbucks down the fucking hill.
For 2 coffees and a donut.
We were driving by and I was like, it was late because, it's kind of a journey for me to, get all the way over to IKEA or whatever. And I was like, I didn't want to go home and make dinner or whatever the fuck. The house, we only had like one pan in the whole house at that point anyway. It's like, all right, why don't we just stop in? We'll grab some Thai, because they had Thai Express, and right next to the Thai Express is Starbucks. And so Em was like, can we have like a Starbucks? And I was like, well, yeah, I guess we can have a Starbucks.
Do you have $500,000 in the bank account?
and so it's like, yeah, sure, okay, what do you want? Okay, she's like, well, get us that cookie fucking crumble, whatever the fuck, the mocha cookie crumble. That's the name of the thing. So, okay, sounds good. So I go to the drive-thru, get the girl come on, hi! Full Valley girl fucking, the typical shit you'd expect from the Starbucks. I was like, and I asked what size she wanted. I don't understand the sizes at Starbucks. I'm not convinced anyone understands the Starbucks sizes. I think everyone's just making it up as they go along. Probably getting a different size every time they go through the fucking drive-thru. I said, what size do you want? Because she was going in to get the Thai food. She said, just get a grande. I believe it was the size of the fucking thing that she wanted or some shit. So great, that sounds like just whatever the fuck. Sounds like maybe a large at best. And so I was like, all right, so I had a vision in my mind. How big is this drink going to be? Grande sound, it's Starbucks, so it's maybe just a little bit smaller than a regular large somewhere else because they charge so much fucking money at Starbucks. So like a grande mocha cookie crumble, 2 of those, please. She's like, great, that'll be $17.36. Drive through. I said, what?
Yeah.
I said $17.36. I said, can you read that back real quick? She said, yes, that was $17.36. I said, all right, great. I'll see you up there. Drive up to the fucking window, and I'm sitting there, and the window is really fucking like I don't know if you've ever been to the one in Dartmouth in Dartmouth Crossing.
I don't.
But the fucking like the drive-through window.
It's a high.
I'm super, dude. I'm in a fucking RAV, and I get to it, and first of all, it's built like Fort Knox. Like there's like a 17-inch fucking like metal shelf that already made, and the people working there are not big people. They're like 5'2", 17-year-old girls. And so it's not like their arm length is fucking like crazy to begin with. And so they've got this like 3.5 foot fucking shelf that they've got to be able to reach over. And then they got to go down. And I'm in a RAV. I'm not used to looking up at a drive-through window. I'm used to looking them dead in the fucking eye. And I'm out the window and I'm looking like, a solid foot up above my fucking head. And she comes out, and it takes forever for these two things. There's not a single person in there. There's 3 employees, nobody inside the fucking restaurant at all. Takes like 7-8 minutes to make these things. I'm seeing like the foam can come out. Bro, there was 7 pounds of whipped cream in that bitch. There was like a teaspoon of liquid. The rest of it is just whipped cream and fucking crushed up Oreo cookie or whatever the fuck it is. She hands me these things, and bro, I swear to God, I'm reaching up. This is all gonna play to the people who are seeing this on video. I'm reaching up out my fucking window. I feel like a toddler reaching up to their parents, reaching up for their fucking hand. She's leaning out the window trying to hand me these things, and this is what it looks like coming out to me. I reach out, I take this thing from her, like, what the fuck? It wouldn't even fit in my cup holders. I had to like awkwardly lean them in my seat because the cup was so fucking huge. I was like, what am I supposed to do with this? There's gotta be fucking 9,000 calories in this one goddamn drink. And she was like, oh, thank you, have a nice night. I was like, thank you, yes, have a nice night. Dude, those 2 drinks cost as much as our 2 fucking meals at Thai Express. It was insane. So moral of the story is, yes, NordVPN, it's way cheaper. Like fucking, oh my God, way cheaper than Starbucks. Almost anything is cheaper than Starbucks, so just be careful. It's a crazy world out there.
A divorce is also cheaper than Starbucks.
Yes!
So think about it.
Without a prenup.
Because she's gonna ask.
They're gonna take 50%, Starbucks taking 55%. We got our first look, Mr. Black, at Lady Gaga as Harley Quinn in the upcoming Joker 2. We had like some, paparazzi ass. Am I seeing Lady Gaga in destroyed clown makeup from a kilometer away? Yes, I do believe. So we had that, and now we have some official, actual, honest to God, promo, whatever you want to call it, of Lady Gaga as Harley Quinn. And, it looks about what you would have expected. She looks like a drug-addicted Harley Quinn because it's the kind of Joker movie that this is, everyone looks like they're meth addicts in these films. And so that's what she looks like. She looks like Harley Quinn on meth. Except she's going to sing. Apparently everyone's going to sing. There's like a musical quality to this film. I'm still very intrigued with the direction they're taking this thing. When they came out and said there's going to be like musical numbers, I was just like, I'm sure. I mean, if you're going to have musical numbers, Lady Gaga will be the one to put in there, but Joaquin Phoenix going to drop a fucking Singing in the Rain in this bitch? Like, what's going on? What is he going to do in this film with this sing-along? The campfire Joker movie. When's the release date of this thing?
I don't know. I don't
know. Have they even mentioned the release date?
No, I think they're still filming.
Are they still in the midst of that? Yeah?
Yeah, I think they're still filming.
So probably next year would be the safe bet sometime.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm interested for sure. I mean, the first Joker movie was fucking insane. Awesome. It was great. And so I'm sure it will be good. It's just, you get some whiplash when the guy comes out and says, yeah, Joker musical. Okay. All right. I'm on. I don't know how it didn't happen earlier, Mr. Black, but with the wave of high quality and well-received anime adaptations that have come through in the last few years, I guess it is a great time after all. Scott Pilgrim is getting an anime adaptation. This was just announced, I think, like yesterday. And more or less, the entire live-action movie cast is reprising their roles for this adaptation. And so you are getting a nostalgia kick. That's a hell of a cast. I mean, I forgot all the people that were in Scott Pilgrim. It is a list. Now, back then, it wasn't maybe as much of a list because some of the people in it weren't super notable at the time, other than, Michael Cera and a couple of others. Clearly, there were some, Aubrey Plaza, I think, is in there, and some others. But yeah, they're all coming back to do this. And if it's as good as some of the other anime adaptations we've been getting, I mean, it's Scott Pilgrim, first of all, so it already has, like, comic origins of sorts, and so this is kind of an easier one to do than some others that they've been trying, but nevertheless, yeah, there you go. You got yourself some of that. Lots of people excited. Scott Pilgrim is kind of like outside of that movie, even like a cult following type situation. And so very excited people right now, as it were. I'm interested for sure. I'm sure I might have to give it a look. Visually, it will probably be crazy because it's Scott Pilgrim. I mean, even the live action movie they did, the visuals were kind of fucking wild, especially for the time. It was a very unique film when it came out, as far as the visual the visual styling that they had for it. So I'm sure it will be quite something visually when it drops. I don't have a date for it. They might have one. I don't. You can look it up, see if they've talked about it yet. But nevertheless, there you go. Some more Animu gracing your timeline. Charlie Day hopes that we get a Luigi's Mansion movie next up after this Mario movie, Mr. Black. I guess that's not shocking, seeing how he plays Luigi. I, too, would hope that my character gets a movie that is specifically about them, should the movie that it's tangentially in do well. However, that being said, you know what? Luigi's Mansion movie would probably be pretty dope.
Yeah, it would.
I'd probably watch that.
Yeah, I'll check it out. I would check it out.
Yeah. You
never know. I mean, this Mario movie is going to fucking make $1 billion, so...
Oh my god, dude, this movie's huge.
You know, who knows? Maybe they will.
I would love to know the marketing budget on this bad boy right now. Because they've got every type of marketing you can fucking come up with. They've got like crazy on the street marketing, you know, like in France they got like the telephone booth / whatever the hell thing where it looks like a pipe, and they've got Mario jumping out the top of that bitch and shit like that. They've got a little bit of everything. Guerrilla marketing out the wazoo. Dude, my Amazon box, I ordered some shit the other day. My Amazon box was painted the same as a coin box for Mario. For an advertisement for the film. So they're spending some money. They're anywhere they can get their hands on some advertising, they're doing it. But yeah, I wouldn't mind a Luigi's Mansion thing. I still will never forget the day that you brought home the first Luigi's Mansion and we played it and beat it in a single sitting.
Yep.
Never left that fucking room. Beat that bitch in one go. I never played the newer one though, and everyone seemed to have liked it, so I might have to give that a go at some point. And lastly, Mr. Black, no spoilers, of course, we can avoid it. Em and I went to go see John Wick in IMAX yesterday. Woo!
I'm disappointed that you did not go see Avatar in IMAX.
Oh, that unfortunately just wasn't in the cards for us at that time.
Oh my god, how did you not do that?
I gotta be honest. I gotta be
experience than John Wick.
I gotta be honest though. It might very well have been, but I gotta keep it 100, bro. Well, I just gotta be real. I know it's gonna be experience. If I put in a little bit of effort, I might, maybe, be able to care slightly less about Avatar than I do off-brand potato chips. If I fucking made an effort, I might be able to try. Maybe. I know it's going to be an audio-visual fucking whatever, James Cameron fest, but if I tried, I don't know if I can care much less. I mean, I put in some effort. John Wick, however, no effort required. That shit is greased up and ready to fucking go. My body is ready, and it was just unfortunate as well with Avatar that Em and I just literally, at the time, couldn't get into the theater, but we did get in to see John Wick 4. And, fuck me, that's a movie. That's an action movie. I honestly think I left that theater for a pure action movie. That's probably my favorite action movie I've ever seen. It's
up there.
It is. It is. If you took, so John Wick 1 for the world building, which is obviously required because John Wick 1, we knew nothing about anything in the world, and so you require world building. By the time you got to 4, you and I were both hoping for a little bit more, but you know what I didn't fucking care about when I left that theater? World building. I was perfectly happy with whatever they gave us in there because everything else was so fucking good, I didn't care. Dude, the first 20 minutes of that movie, I just about shit myself. It was so perfect. The first 20 minutes.
I didn't like the whole desert scene. I didn't like it.
Oh, that scene. Okay, well, the lead up to that. Okay, so that part that didn't get me
I just
super
like, it was
excited.
so lackluster. Like,
Let me.
But I think I know what you're talking about.
Yes.
Like,
So Lawrence Fishburne has his
yes.
speech.
Yeah.
Walks down the hall, gives that big monologue, which was great. Lawrence delivered that shit fire, and then the proceeding.
Yes. Okay. Yes.
Or the proceeding. After that, that initial, I think the only reason that was there is because it was necessary to set up.
I understand
everything else.
I get it. But I was just like, when it first started, I was like, okay, sure. I mean, it was beautiful, but it was like, he's actually missing shots right now. This is weird. I'm not a fan of whatever this is. It's doing nothing for me. And then the monologue happened, which I'll be honest, when the monologue was happening, I was like, even then I was still like, are they going a little bit too over the top here? What's going on? Like, I was like, what's going on? Then it kind of eased its way. I would say like the first 5-7 minutes of the movie was lackluster. And then after that, I'm in.
But the speech, the monologue, I should say, all I could say about the film is that even in the spots that I could say you might be able to say like are like the low points of the film were better than the high points of most action films that I've seen in like a million fucking years. So they're like the cinematography, the fucking lighting, whoever did lighting in this film needs to be blown or whatever, whoever, man or woman, fuck them right up with money and love and everything in between. Because it was insanely well done. Unbelievable. The framing of shots in this film. Oh! The music?
Yeah, the music was good. It was good, man. The movie was good. It was
Everything was so fucking good.
Yeah, it was good. So it was definitely over the top. Like, you know, there were definitely moments where I was like, holy fuck. Like, it was like, and dude, I went in with high expectations because before the movie, like the reviews came out, I was kind of going, oh god, fucking almost 3-hour John Wick movie. I wasn't a massive fan of the third one. I liked it, but it was like, it was.
Well, you and I were on the same page with the third one.
Downhill. It's like, oh. Yeah. We could be seeing the end of this now. We could, you know, but oh shit,
they pulled up.
Oh yeah, they were just like, oh, whatever the third was, this ain't it. And they like, even the choreography in this was so much better. It wasn't like this weird shit where like they were preparing for the next. Like, it was so obvious where it just looked like I was watching choreography on a set. This movie, I honestly can't recall a time where I was like, that was kind of.
You didn't see them setting themselves up. Yeah.
It was much more. You know, there were parts where I could tell, you know, like something wasn't hitting. You know, like where I was like, okay, they could have used maybe a little bit movie magic, but like the shots were so long at some parts that like you can let it slide. Where you're like, okay, it's whatever. But it was just so crazy. The movie was nuts. It was like an action scene. To some people, it might have been too much, where it was like scenes were going on, like fight scenes were going on for 15, 20 minutes, like just straight up. You thought it'd end and it just keeps going. And it just, I don't know, it worked.
It never felt repetitive. I was getting worried. I was like, am I going to be seeing the same moves like 58 times in this film?
Yeah, no, because they did a good job at almost like different scenes. They used almost different weapons. It was like, you know, there was a nunchuck big scene, there was sword big scene, there was the gun fu shit that you would see. There was car. Oh my god, that last like 45 minutes of the movie, like when they're in Paris, like the last like 30-45 minutes. It's just fucking nuts, bro. It was just nuts. Doing the donuts and just fucking murking people. I was like, oh. And it's like, how have I... And the doors are getting... I don't even care. They're not really spoilers, but like at the same time, I don't really care. Doors are getting ripped off and I'm going, oh, I can see where this is going. The door ripped off. Next thing you know, dude's just fucking killing motherfuckers left, right, and center. You know, the stairs, that part, it kind of got a little stupid towards the very, very end.
Well,
where I was like, okay.
I think that was them being self-aware because people memed about John Wick 2 and like the stairs scene in John Wick 2. So I think there was a little bit of self-aware.
They took that shit to a whole another.
You see my tweet? You see
level,
my fucking
bro.
tweet about the like my GIF review for John Wick, and it's the Ace Ventura Slinky.
Yeah. That whole fucking thing right there was wild. You know.
That, by the way, the stunt guy in about 4 or 5 scenes that went down the they're not getting paid enough. Whatever that is, it's not enough money.
No,
it's
you
just
need
not
a 10x, whatever that is, because that dude, and you know they didn't do it on one take, so like that dude is just rolling all fucking day, all night long. So, but yeah, overall, I thought it was great. I really went in with very high expectations after seeing the reviews, critically and audience, and I was like, man, this is just not going to be as good as what I want it to be, and I'm not going to go and say it exceeded my expectations. It did in some places, but it most certainly fulfilled my expectations 100%. It wasn't anything groundbreaking. It wasn't like a new John Wick movie where they introduced something new that like really took it to another level.
What about the drones? The drone shot scene was fucking insane, bro.
Oh yeah, that was my favorite. I think that was my favorite scene in the movie.
Dude, I was watching the theater going, how long are they going to do this? Because this is not an easy shot to do, so how long is this going to happen?
I don't even think it was a drone. I think it was just like they had a crane, and they were just craning over. But like it was, and they did use some drone scenes in the movie, but yeah, this was definitely a crane. There's no way it was a fucking drone. But it felt like a video game. It felt like
they did Hotline Miami.
It was XCOM. It was pretty much like watching XCOM, where you got this overview, and it was like a strategic type thing, and you just go from one room to another, and they use that what the gun called like dragon fire or some.
Oh well, it's rounds. They're real life rounds. They're shotgun shells that are called Dragon's Breath. And I said to M after, I was like, how did they not use Dragon's Breath in any John Wick film up to this point? It just makes sense. And then in this, they were like, all right, so we haven't yet. How about we just use them a lot?
Yeah, and it was that whole sequence, and it was a long sequence, and it was a one-cut sequence.
Yes.
And it was just like, how are these guys doing this shit? Honestly, for me, that was the climax of the movie. Like, the actual climax was like, okay, whatever. That right there, that was the part that I was the most disappointed in, was the fact that, and I don't really want to spoil too much.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to spoil the ending
we're not
of the
going to
movie.
talk that specifically about the climax. Yeah.
But the duel, I thought that the duel was going to be a little bit different. I thought that the preparation for the duel was really nice when they were flipping the
that was kind of dope. I like conceptually. Yeah, that was dope.
Yeah, like that was cool. It's cool little world building story type thing. That was cool. But I did find the actual conclusion of the film to be lackluster, considering all of the shit that we got. But I understand. How do you even go?
Well, that's what I was going to say.
Than that?
Look,
you almost need to bring it down to
yes. You need to bring the audience back down to fucking earth, because they're like,
I get it. Yeah, no, I get it. And that whole thing. But overall, man, I thought it was great. I thought Keanu had less to do in this movie, which was weird.
Well, Donnie Yen took a little bit off of his shoulders. Yeah.
He took a lot. I feel like he took a lot, and I like Donnie Yen's character.
Yeah,
he already played a blind dude in Star Wars, right? Like he played the
well, that's
blind
your first
guy.
thought in that is that. Yeah,
and it was like, and the crazy thing about it is I got spoiled on that. I didn't actually know the character was blind before I went in, or just before I went into the movie. I was watching a review, and they said in the review that he was blind. And I was like, fuck. I was like, I didn't really want to know that, because then I went in there just thinking of Star Wars, and I was like, why do they have this motherfucker playing a blind character? And it worked. It worked.
They did some really cool stuff with him being blind, though. Like, they got real creative.
but they only did it for like that one opening.
I know which one you're talking about. Yeah.
Where I was like, whoa, okay, this is fucking cool as shit. The stuff that he was doing because he was blind, obviously, he's got to use his other senses. He's got to do different things, and I thought that was amazing. And then they just stopped for the whole movie. There was nothing. He didn't do any of that shit. And like oddly, a few times he'd like kind of pat around to see, you know, with his sword, he'd feel around to see what was going on. And I really enjoyed what I thought would have been better for his character. I felt like he was in it too much, and it almost took away from John Wick. It almost became like two characters movies, which I'm okay with. But the fact that he was blind and it became so unrealistic that like these, and we got to remember the people that are going after John Wick, they're not regular street dudes, right? These guys are all assassins. You know, yeah, they might have some street dudes mixed in there, like some goons, but like the people that are going after these, the most killer assassins that there are. And you've got a blind guy who is in a fight with like 50 other dudes, and he's not being killed at all. Somebody could shoot this guy in the head at any time.
Well, you could say that about any scene, because every scene there are like a million opportunities.
At least with John Wick, he did a lot of this stuff in this movie, which I appreciated, where he was using his suit to block his head. This motherfucker doesn't do that at all. He's just there and it was over the top. I think it would have been better to have him in a couple of very cool fight scenes where it's more intimate, where there's only a couple of people, a few or even a bunch, but he gets to use his other senses. He was out in the open with straight killers, and he was not getting hurt at all. And I'm like, man, John Wick can get away with it, but how is this motherfucker? Even when John Wick is fighting him, I'm like, dude, John Wick could have, and I understand they have a friendship, so like he doesn't really want to kill him, and he doesn't, like, I get that, but what about everybody else? That part was like I think less Donnie Yen would have done more for me, for the character, or have him as much, but don't put him outside with 50 assassins that don't miss shots. I don't know. That part was a little dumb for me.
I get where you're coming from. I mean, there are a lot of stuff after John Wick 2, and even in John Wick 2 to a degree, but more John Wick 3. They took the suspension of disbelief for the character of John Wick and like the world that we were watching. Like, we all knew that there was a you know, obviously, like anything, this is not real life 1-to-1.
Of course.
We see John get shot off the roof of a fucking building, hit literally every steel rail on the way down, and fucking face plant in the concrete after the head of the hotel fucking shoots him, and he gets back up and he's okay. So like we know there's already like some suspension of disbelief. 3 notched it up a bit. 4 said we just fucking forget about most of it.
4 was teetering Fast and the Furious levels of what the fuck. And it wasn't as bad. It was nowhere near as bad. But
I get what you're saying. I think with Donnie Yen, I want to say that there's a non-zero chance that Donnie Yen was like, yeah, I'll do it, but I want my guy to be basically on level with John. Like, I feel like Donnie was like, yeah, I'll do this movie, because Donnie Yen as a kung fu guy is like the fucking guy. Right?
Yeah,
he is the guy. So I feel like he might have been like, all right, I'll do it, but I've got to be basically.
They could have wrote his scenes like if they wrote his scenes the way they wrote his first scene, where he was using, and I'm not going to spoil any of it, but where he was using tools and things to kill his enemies. Like the whole buildup for him was amazing. You meet the character, you understand his motives and why he's doing shit. It's very similar to John Wick. And then, he's, that's it's thing he's where he just doesn't give a fuck. Like, people are dying all around him. He's eating food and shit. Like, it was so cool. And then he goes and does the stuff that he does for that scene is amazing. But then from there on out, it was just like
John's getting his ass fucking like he's winning, but he's taking damage to get to the end point.
Yeah.
Donnie's out there fucking bitches up, ain't taking a lick of damage.
He is fucking everybody.
And when you learn more about his character, you're like, this is how good he is now. What the fuck was he like? Were he and John like when they were younger and friends? Like how crazy were they back then? This is what we got now. What the fuck was going on back then? And so I get what you're saying. I didn't when I was watching it. That didn't fucking pass through my mind.
It didn't.
I was watching Donnie Yen just like fucking like do some crazy shit. And he's so crisp, bro. Like everyone else, like Scott Adkinson's in this movie. He's probably the best white dude that's doing kung fu shit for years. He's crazy good. But you get Donnie Yen on fucking camera, and that dude is a different.
Keanu Reeves look like he, you know.
And it's hard to expect a 58-year-old. And I know Donnie's also old, but he's been doing literal god tier martial artist since he was like a kid, compared to the Keanu who was like, I know kung fu in 1999, doing fucking like shitty kung fu in the Matrix. Like up to now, like a different animal entirely. But how crisp and fucking fast this motherfucker is, he looks so good on camera.
It's good. Yeah, and what I really liked about his character the most is he brought a lot of the acting to it, which I was surprised by, because Keanu Reeves can't act a fucking lick. Nobody can tell me any different. He's
thankfully
not a good
he doesn't
actor.
need to,
and he does, and he has like 20 lines in the fucking movie, and the movie's fucking 3 hours long.
Yeah,
he literally has, and a lot of them are like, guns, lots of guns. Like that's pretty much it. Like. Kill them all.
Which I gotta be honest, I kind of like. I can't lie.
It's whatever. It's whatever for me. It's whatever. I'm not hating on the movie. By the way, like it's a 9 out of 10 for me. It might be my favorite John Wick movie that there is. It's close between 1 and 4, and I might actually put this. I actually think I have to put this ahead, just simply because
the story is the only.
They do. That's the only downside of it. But at the same time. Like, they do wrap up a lot of the storylines that they had from the previous movies.
They did it way better than 3. Like,
infinitely
way better.
Yeah. I mean, now we know that there's another John Wick project that is coming out led by a female. It's called like the Ballerinas or something like that. That's actually being released this year. Like, that's coming out. Yeah. And then now there's also talk about Donnie Yen potentially getting a spinoff.
Give me that.
So, and I don't know if it's going to be an origin story where we actually see where he has his eyes, because they do he mentions it very briefly. But he doesn't go into exactly how he lost.
Dude, if
his
you're
eyes.
paying attention to this film, they've got like 4 different outs for different movies, whether they're sequels, prequels, fucking spin-offs, whatever. Like all the way up through, they cover their bases for every eventuality, and so you can be ready, for almost anything at this point, and expect anything, because it's going to be based on how much money this bitch makes. This
bitch is making all the money. It's like
the
biggest opening.
So my question to you: do you need 5?
No, I don't.
Neither do I. I think this should be just it.
Yeah, and the thing is, we know we're gonna get more. You don't end a franchise on a 4. Like,
I know.
But I don't like. Now they've already released a statement where they're considering Wick 5.
Yeah.
And the thing is, I know we're gonna end up getting it. But what I hope that they do is, I hope that they go do the little spin-off stuff. I don't think the ballerina shit's gonna work at all. And listen. Say what you want, but how many times have we seen female-led action movies that are spin-offs or some sort of whatever, and they put a female in the lead? I'm not saying there's tons of kick-ass fucking females out there that are amazing and they do what they do. This isn't me fucking being sexist, but I'm going to be honest. I have zero interest in watching ballerina. I like John Wick. It's like James Bond, all right? It's not Jane Bond, right? I like that. And whenever I've seen like a female led cast taking from an IP that was originally for a male and built off a male, it's usually dog shit. It's usually bad. And I'll give it the benefit of the doubt. But what I hope they do is I hope they get that out of their system. And I hope that they take a bunch of time off. And if they're going to make a 5, which low key, I kind of hope they don't. But if they do, we need like a 5-year minimal break. And then they need to come back and they need to finish up
63-year-old Keanu Reeves.
Whatever they need to finish up. I don't care. I almost hope that they don't even make a John Wick 4. And he just...
You mean 5?
Or 5?
Yeah.
And he makes an appearance in...
The spin-offs or whatever?
In a spin-off or whatever as... You know, maybe it's in a season finale if they do a TV show, or maybe it's a movie and he's in a post-credit scene or at the very end or something. And, you know, they tease him to be part of another film. I don't know. But one way or another, I don't think we need it. We just got 3-hour John Wick movie, and apparently there's a cut that's like 4.5 hours or some shit.
I want it.
Release it. Just do the Blu-ray, release it on digital. We'll watch it. We'll enjoy it. Let Keanu take a break. Even maybe indefinitely. But I can understand when a movie makes the amount of money it's making and everybody's enjoying it, and now you're kind of fucking trajectorying up, it's hard to not want to make the movie. I just no. Where do they go? Because I know that you have to go Fast and Furious route at this point to take it to it, because they keep topping themselves. How do you top yourself from this? It's actually impossible. I actually don't think it's possible. They've peaked. You can't go any better.
They've kind of drawn on most of the cards that they could draw on, and they put it all in this one. So
it's all there. It's all there. If you're gonna watch a John Wick movie, guys, go run out and go see on the biggest fucking screen with the loudest possible, because the sound effects, the music, everything.
Oh my god!
It's almost a perfect movie. It's almost a perfect action movie.
Yeah.
It's almost like the nitpicks that I'm talking about with Donnie Yen's character, and you know the ending, and those are nitpicks. They're all still amazing. You know, the movie is fucking incredible. It's insane what they pull off from an action standpoint. I got to agree with you. It might actually be the best action movie ever put to film. Completely. There's a lot of great action movies out there, like The Raid, and there's a bunch of like En Bak type, The Protector. There's a lot of great like action movies that do a wonderful job. Tom Cruise is in, you know, he's got your Mission Impossibles, you got the James Bonds, but dude,
none of them come close.
They don't come close to this, bro. There's those movies, and then there's this. And the great thing about this is you've got amazing cinematography, you've got amazing soundtracks, you've got amazing characters. You've got a really cool universe that, you know, it's a little bit of a letdown that they don't dive super deep into it, but at the same time, it's whatever. Most of the great action movies out there, they got dog shit of all of those things, but the action's great. You know, maybe it's bad acting, maybe it's bad this, bad that. John Wick is just like, it's just good. It's great. It's amazing. Like, it's nuts. The Oscars need to make an action-based Oscar for the first time, and they need to just give it to John Wick. They need to build it off of this.
Yeah. Yes, I was having the same thoughts. When we left the theater, I was thinking to myself, I was like, look, I know the Oscars are mostly bullshit anyway, but they need desperately to be able to recognize.
Oh, the stunt work, the choreography, the people behind the scenes that make this. Sure, Keanu Reeves amazing, Donnie Yen's amazing, but it's a collaborative effort. There are fucking like, it's nuts the stuff they pull off in this movie. I can't believe it, what they've done.
Nobody's doing like any of the shit that they're doing in these, bro. People have tried several times to try to mimic John Wick ever since John Wick came out. Not one has even gotten like a 10th of the fucking way there.
You can't do it. You can't do it. I might actually go see it again in theaters before it goes. It's that good. It's really truly that good. I'm blown away by it. In my heart, if they were to just end it now, because they've ended it in a way that I think can appease everybody,
as many people as you could hope for.
Exactly. And people can have their own theories. and do whatever it is that they want to do and be at peace with that, right? It's like the ending of Inception.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, but it's such a marvel. They've accomplished such a great task on a fourth film in a franchise. And the character has virtually done anything and everything. I do like the idea of them giving the spotlight to another character and moving on and letting the legend of John Wick and Keanu Reeves. Keanu Reeves is no longer Neo.
No, he's
is
John
Wick.
Yes.
He's John. After this movie, he is solidified that he ain't Neo anymore. John Wick.
And think of how crazy that is, because think of the character of Neo and how culturally impactful the Matrix was, and then nobody expect, like, people hear about John Wick like in the whispers, and then it comes out and it doesn't even like hit hard immediately, and then it kind of like it takes a little bit, and then word of mouth gets out, and then just fucking rockets.
That's it. Yeah. Yeah.
Rockets.
It's never going to be $1 billion franchise. I don't want to see them do the Expendables route where they're trying to bring in other action stars and old dudes that come through and make it campy and cheesy like Fast and the Furious, and next thing you know it, they're like going to space and shit.
I mean, they've kind of already did that, but they did it tastefully.
Yeah, well,
so, like,
but they're paying homage to to the greatest mix martial artists of action films of all time. I'm not talking about cheesy movie stars like, you know, like your Arnold Schwarzeneggers and your Stallones and your you know, and I don't mean when I say cheesy, those are amazing movie stars.
Two different action movies.
Total. One is Hollywood, and then one is like the real deal mixed martial arts types, the gods, the purists. It's like, and they just do it so tastefully. There ain't all these crazy egos where it's like Arnold's on screen. Pay attention. You know, this is like everybody's there. The stunt doublers, like, or not the stunt doublers, the dudes, the random guys they kill. There's almost like a level of respect that you have just seeing these guys go in and do what they do. And nobody's trying to steal the spotlight. It's just like the movie just does what the movie does. And that's what I love about it. End it. Keanu, walk. You've peaked. Go start another franchise somewhere, or just pop in somewhere else at some point and get us all hyped. But I don't know. It's like part of me wants number 5. Part of me wants it. But the big part of me just says, no, you can't.
It's like, for me, I'd be so fine if they stopped at 4. I'd be so okay. I'd be so okay with it. No complaints from me whatsoever, because if you're going to go out, what a way to fucking go out. Insane.
The best way to go.
If they did more, you know, I have to go into it thinking in a similar way as I did with 3, where I was like, man, I really love John Wick, but I'm getting concerned as to where this shit's going. I'd have the same feelings now, for different reasons than 3, but I'd have the same, you know, concerns. I'd be like, you know, where are they going to go? Just like with 3, but for different reasons as to why I'm concerned as to where they're going to go. And so, but you know what, though? I had those thoughts with 3, and now here we are with 4. So maybe against all fucking odds, 5 pops up, and my concerns are just...
Oh, it's going to pop up, bro. This movie's making too much money, and it was too damn well received for it not to pop up. But I just hope that it's like, it's a while from now. Just let it breathe, man.
I'm just reliving that the first major fights. The music was so fucking good, and in IMAX with the fucking sound system on every gunshot and the bass line of the song. It was, and the lighting. It's just like, now I will say, I do you notice it if you look for it. If you watch all of John Wick, everyone makes fun of, like, there's always the stairs the enemy of everyone in John Wick. And they're like K-pop music videos, oddly lit rooms with mirrors everywhere for no reason. Like, absolutely no reason to have that much lighting randomly and mirrors. But you know what? It looks fucking awesome.
It looks so good,
and
bro.
It
looks so good.
So they put it in.
Man, they cranked it, and they you don't even care. You don't even care.
And not to spoil it, but there is a character in this that I think stole that entire, like they had almost not quite a third of the film. There was a character we hadn't seen before that John is sent after, and it's and you know who I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And even that character, dude, that guy acted the fuck out of that character. It was perfect. The right amount of cheese.
Well, he's a crazy martial artist too.
Oh my God, dude.
Insane. He's just insane.
And so when I saw him at first, I was like, okay, so he's got the character acting down. I mean, this shit's fucking perfect for this, like for John Wick's universe, this guy was perfect. And then the fight scene started, and I was like, word? Yeah, this motherfucker's gonna act and drop this shit at the same time? Is that even fucking fair?
Well, he's well known. He's super well known. He's in all kinds of once again, they brought in people that are ultra respected. And in fact, I heard that they almost got Jackie Chan. And Jackie Chan wanted to do the movie, but they were offering him a small part, and he wanted to star basically alongside.
Ironically,
Keanu.
Donnie Yen did exactly that.
And Donnie Yen pretty much did that. Like Donnie Yen was in about a good 40%, 40% of the movie. And he had more lines.
And did 80% of the acting.
Did 80% of the act. He had more lines than Keanu Reeves did, for sure. And it's John Wick.
And thank God, Donnie Yen's a great actor. Like,
he's good. He was good.
He did everything he needed to. Did it very well. I enjoyed it. I think he brought a lot of the heartfelt drama-y shit. He did very well to do that. And yeah, man.
They definitely set up more John Wick to come. The question is, are we gonna get John Wick?
Yeah.
But they've definitely and it's gonna be female led. You can just tell. Like the way that the way that it worked.
Well, they have two options for that, and then they have a John option. They have another character option, and then they have two girl options.
Yeah, well, I know for sure that a girl that wasn't even in the movie is starring, I guess, or has a major role in the girl project, the spin-off.
Well, Ballerina is literally a girl leading it, so we already know that exists. You know, that is girl led.
Girl that I know you're talking about.
Yes, yeah.
She is rumored to be part of the next thing as well.
Yeah.
And it makes sense.
Because there's a dynamic between her and another character that, thanks to how the movie plays out, is totally another avenue.
And stay in the post-credit scenes, because there's a scene after the credits that plays to that very heavily.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
So anyway.
So there you go. John Wick. Jeff's giving it a 9. I'm giving that bitch a 14.5 out of 10. Because I agree, the desert thing in the beginning, it was nothing to write home about. It was there specifically to serve a plot point.
Yeah.
And that was it.
Yeah.
I consider the movie starting after that scene. Yeah. And the ending, while not bonkers, I agree as well. And which you had to bring it down. And if I sat down and tried to come up with I don't even know. I'm not going to come up with a better ending that's going to please enough people. It's like impossible. So I think they did pretty fucking okay for what they could, and then everything in between is just pure sex. The whole fucking thing is just is absolutely insane. And definitely. It's the best John Wick and the best action movie that I've ever seen. I think John Wick 1,
at least in the last decade, easily. I can't even think of an action movie, and there's been a lot of good action movies, but this is on another. In fact, I'm just gonna go and say it's the best action movie I think of all time.
For me, it's John Wick 4, and then you have to get out of that genre of action movie altogether because John Wick is so fucking far beyond. So it's John Wick 4, and then I've got to go directly to Terminator 2, and then below those two for action films.
Yeah.
I don't even know.
Yeah.
I don't know what third place is. Doesn't matter. It's John Wick 4, arguably John Wick 1, Terminator 2.
It's just like they're two totally. I almost don't even want to put it
because
they're so different.
Very
right?
different subgenres of action.
I mean,
yeah.
I think T2 is a better movie, but like,
yes,
for what I'm going in to watch, it doesn't really get any better than that.
No,
like it doesn't. It just doesn't.
And ladies and gentlemen, if you're not aware, this week is the first week Mr. Black and I are going to be attempting to. We're really flying by the seat of our pants on this bad boy. We're going to be attempting tech support from within the confines of StarCraft 2 content. We've got questions that have already been asked. If you're live here right now, you can still go to the post if you're in the $10 or higher club. It is open. We are going to do tech support via StarCraft. And then that stuff's going to get posted to YouTube. I haven't figured out how I'm going to stitch this in audio-wise, if at all, to the podcast proper, or if we're just going to leave this on YouTube. We'll figure that out as we go along. But for this week...
Sorry? For what?
For the tech support.
Oh, yeah, no. What I think we should do is I think we can just do the tech support on the cast. People can go over and watch.
Okay.
But if there's a pushback and people are like, oh, I don't really want to watch StarCraft. I just want to do the tech support.
Okay.
Then I think what we should do is when we do this podcast, and we should just answer a couple of questions via tech support.
Okay.
Just one or two.
Okay.
And then put the rest on there. Don't need to splice it in, no nothing. They still get a bit of tech support here. And then they get more. So if you wanna go through a couple of questions, we can do that normally. But like if they want more, they can go over to YouTube, because there's no point in splicing audio and doing all this fucking shit. It's no point. None.
Okay, let me see what we got here. We literally, of course, the 1 week that we're doing this, by the way, probably because I didn't label it tech support, we've got 5 questions in this list this week. And so, we're going to answer 1 and save the rest for the StarCraft portion. Because
don't we have 5. The StarCraft post on Patreon too that people were
this is the one I'm using.
Oh, okay. All right, well then cool.
Yes. Let me see here. Master asks, first of all, says, excited for the nostalgia of the StarCraft cast. Thank you, Master. I'm a huge fan of the Yu-Gi-Oh! Trading card game, even to this day, and grew up with it from childhood with trading cards and the TV show. Did you guys ever play any trading card games growing up? Also, would you let your kids get into trading cards when they're of age, or is it too much of a waste of money? I know that some people compare opening card packs to loot boxes and the gambling aspects of it all. So, I mean, I never played with any of the trading cards. I was just a fan of collecting the trading cards. I'm pretty sure Mr. Black played some of the Pokemon while also collecting Pokemon cards. He can talk more about that. But me personally, I just collected them. I was just a fan of collecting the cards. And so that's kind of where I drew the line. I have Pokemon cards. I've got a fucking like 5 Magic cards, whatever the hell I've got. I've still got them all in binders and shit. Like they're all in a box over here behind me. So I like the collecting aspect because I like the art and whatnot, the artwork on the cards, and I enjoyed kind of chasing after certain cards and whatnot. It was kind of fun. But that was about it. I never really played them until I started playing cards, trading card games later in life. So playing Magic the Gathering or playing Hearthstone or whatever afterwards. But back then, never did. As for letting my future children do it, fuck, by the time they're around, if trading cards are still there and doing their thing, I mean, yeah, I guess if they're into it, but it won't be, it'll be what I went through if I did anything, which was, it wasn't, mom and dad go out and buy Adam a bunch of fucking cards. It was Adam goes out and does a bunch of shit around the house or for his family, whatnot, learning to do some chores, shoveling driveways, mowing lawns, whatever the fuck else, to earn the money to go buy the shit themselves. Because it's fine to have that. Obviously, they're not going to be on the card crack at fucking 5 years old, but, you gotta, it's a reward thing. You gotta learn how to make your money and appreciate the money, and you can buy little stuff like that, and that's fine. That's probably the way that I would the road that I would go down with that. But you never know what the fuck your kid's gonna be into. They might not give a shit. They might just be all digital. They might not give a fuck about trading cards. What about you, Mr. Black?
Well, yes, I did play Pokemon. Played a little bit of Magic as well. But played a lot more Pokemon. Started with just collecting, but played it pretty hardcore. Actually, it was just before I moved on your street was when I was like really playing a lot of Pokemon. And then I just kind of phased out of playing and just collecting, and then got more into video games. I've always been into video games, but I was obsessed with like Pokemon cards for many years. And part of it was my dad used to take me to flea markets like every Sunday. My dad was like an avid flea market goer. And every time we would go, there would be tables of people with cards and things like that. And, my dad would typically, buy me a pack of Pokemon cards when we would go. At the time, it might have cost Dad $5 for a pack of cards or whatever, right? So he would do that for me, and then I'd look at the cards. And then eventually I started getting more and more. Then I started going to the tables and actually wheeling and dealing. So I used to like trade in cards, sell cards, do all that stuff. So, I'd probably take the same route my son does have some Pokemon cards now. But they were from the dollar store and stuff. Like you can get like little packs. So Kayla would buy him a treat at the dollar store and he picked those. He loves Pokemon now. So he's hardcore about Pokemon. So what I'm going to do this year is I'm going to take him out yard sailing with me. And whenever I would go yard sailing, there are kids that are just selling buckets of cards and fucking shit, right? And for super cheap. So I'll take him out there and he can, get cards that way. But same thing, what Adam said is I'm going to make it so that he does things around the house to like earn sort of an allowance, or wouldn't even really call it an allowance, but more so earn the privilege to be able to go and get something. I'm pretty stern. Kayla, on the other hand, she's around Kai much more than I am. She's, she deals with him a lot more than I do. So she gets bullied around a little bit more. I don't really want to use the term bullied, but like Kai can get away with a lot more with her than what he can with me. And so, like, I'm the guy that's like, Kayla will be like, hey, I'll tell your father, right? Type thing, right? Because he gets away with more and she allows things. For me, I'm much harder. So I want him to earn the things that he gets opposed to being given stuff to give stuff. My son's being a dick and he does things like he's 4 years old. So like, he's obviously going to make mistakes and cross boundaries and stuff. I'm not like a fucking drill sergeant by any means. But like if he's having meltdowns and he's going crazy and it's a little bit more normal, he won't get nothing. You don't get to go yard sailing with me. You don't get to go get your Pokemon cards or go get a toy. But if you're a good kid, for the most part, with minimal, moments, and you're not giving sass and you're not doing all these things on a regular, dude, come on, let's go, man. I'm gonna fucking take you out and we're at a yard sale. Buy what you want, son. Barter, do it, come on. I'll show you the ropes. But you got to earn the shit. So, yes, the long answer is he'll get his Pokemon cards or whatever cards. If there's a fucking Paw Patrol card set that comes out and he wants to get into it, sure, man. Just be a good boy to a degree and have your fun. Because I did all that shit too when I was a kid. So why not? And I get to relive my childhood a little bit, which is fun.
Well, that's just it. Well, for me, it's almost dangerous for me. It's not going to be dangerous for the kid. It's going to be dangerous for me.
Come on,
because
son. Come on. Let's go buy some cards. Come on. You know you want a couple of packs. Come on.
the kid could be like, not really. I'm good. I'm good, Dad. Be like, no, you do.
No, you do. And then the
You
kid's
do.
opening. Whoa, don't open it like that. You can't open up the pack like that.
You're not wearing gloves.
Holy shit, man. You almost gave me a heart attack. What are you doing? And my son don't give a fuck, bro. He'll grab a Pikachu card and he'll like fucking palm it. I'm like, just throw them in baggies. All fucking, you don't give a shit. All over the floor and stuff, right? So
it was crazy too because I pulled some Pokemon cards out when I was putting stuff away and I was taking pictures, posting on Twitter, and of course it got people in the community that are like diehard fucking card collectors. And I had one guy who was who was literally screen grabbing, writing the value of all the fucking cards I was posting on Twitter and putting them up. And honest to God, dude, the Pikachu ones, you gotta be careful of that shit, bro. Some of those Pikachu cards,
expensive.
They're worth some money.
Yeah. So anyway, he's just at that age where he doesn't really understand the concept of like,
no clue,
keeping things pristine.
Neither did we really. Like I had mine in I didn't put mine in like all of them in hard protect. They're just in regular sleeves. So my like Gen 1 Pokemon cards are like the highest PSA would be like, if I was lucky, an 8.
7?
Yeah, maybe 8, 7. Yeah. 8 would be like, I really got lucky and the card was okay. Because I never took them out, but they're just naturally in a binder for fucking 25 years.
Moving them over, fucking throwing the binder around, like shit's
just
gonna happen, right?
Just the way that it goes, right?
Putting doubles in behind and just like fucking just jamming them in there.
Fucking
got like
card,
4 of the same ones.
That one sleeve's like fucking half an inch thick.
Yeah. I've been there, done that. So
yeah. So it will be fun. I'll just have to watch myself. Because I'll be the one there, like I'm on crack, just buying because now I'm an adult and I get the money now. Well, I don't have the money right now. I'm actually broke as fuck. But in the future, theoretically, I'd have the money. And I'm standing in that store, and all of a sudden I come home with $500 worth of fucking cards.
Whoops.
Oopsie.
Yep.
Well, because we have 5 total questions, that's gonna be it for this week. We're gonna head on over.
I think we're gonna have a lot more though once we release these StarCraft casts. I think there's probably gonna be an influx.
I would imagine so. I imagine the following weeks will differ. I think a lot of it was probably just because it was posted before podcast day when people are used to it, and then it wasn't named tech support. But in the future, I will just go back to calling it tech support, and we'll just treat them the way that we want to treat them for which ones are on the cast and which ones are over on the StarCraft content. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. We're not doing the StarCraft stuff live. We're technically doing it live, if you know what I mean. Just not live here.
Yeah, you guys don't get to watch.
You guys don't get to watch. You guys get to see it as it pops up on YouTube, and so you can look forward to that. Thank you very much for catching us this week. A little bit longer of an episode for your commute. You're welcome. We will see you guys next week and throughout this week with more fantastic podcast shit, and then of course the StarCraft, which I know many of you are pretty jazzed about. And so until we see you next time, stay safe out there. Have a phenomenal weekend. Maybe go see some John Wick in IMAX. Not because it needs to be on the big screen so much as just the sound. It's definitely worth it. Peace.
Peace.